Right, this is the last of the lessons in our kind of beginner's introduction to backgammon series, and I suppose we're going to look in this lesson just at where you might go from here. I think my understanding is that the Latin phrase "quo vadis" means where do you go from here, and I've just a few suggestions for you. The first one, I suppose, the key one is just enjoy the game. The vast majority of Irish backgammon players don't go to any great lengths of study or live like hermits, becoming aesthetically perfect at the game. They just go enjoy going down to their local club, playing the game. They improve with experience, and that's what I just say to you. What I really find attractive about backgammon is I can study and study and study and learn more and more and more about it. But that's not for everyone, and so what follows shouldn't put you off. So what follows is really just what you might do. But the big thing is just grab a friend, go out for a pint or a glass of wine or whatever, and play a game together and just have a bit of crack. That's the best thing you can do to improve your game. But moving on from play, the second thing you might think about doing is more kind of organized practice, more deliberate practice. And to do that, I'm going to recommend a software that will make it's the best investment you can make in backgammon. It's called Extreme Gammon, or XG is what it's typically called. You can get you can't get it on a MacBook, but you can get it on a laptop, and it's great because you can go through every move. It'll tell you, if you sit on the bottom left of that slide there, it'll tell you what all the different moves, which is the correct move. It'll show you what the correct moves is. So you can really learn from it. And if you want to become kind of a serious kick-ass backgammon player, you will need to get XG at some stage. What I find very useful, the laptop program, it's the best investment you'll make, but it is about 50 to 60 quid. For a tenner, you can get the same program on your mobile phone, and that's what I've been using for the last few years, and what I've used for these slides. So it's XG Mobile Backgammon. As far as I know, it's available for both Android and iPhones, and it seems to be very good value at the minute. And what I like about it is that it'll tell you what to do. So let's say we start a game and we've got a 3 and a 1, and we're not sure how to play a 3 and a 1. Well, if you look on the right hand side, you see that yellow light bulb. If you hit that, it comes up with, well, here are all the different moves with the 3 and a 1. Now, there's one obvious move, playing from the 8 point to the 5 point and the 6 to the 5 point, and that's the only correct move. Anything else comes up there in red, and red means it's a serious blunder, that you're really undermining your chances by playing it. And if you look at the 8/5, 6/5, what that means is, if you look in the bottom left quadrant on our 8 point, we've got 3 checkers there. 8/5 means you move from the 8 to the 5, and then 6 to the 5, you bring the other one down, and you make your golden point. But say you didn't. Say you get that and you play the wrong move. If you're playing against the computer and play the wrong move, if you're in what's called tutor mode, and I'm going to say deliberately to do a very wrong move, 3 and the 1, that's just not the thing to do with 3-1. If I go to play that, a little warning pops up in tutor mode, which I find really helpful. I'd strongly recommend you put it on tutor mode and play against the computer. It'll tell you that it's a blunder. It's quite a significant blunder there. A 0.232 blunder is big. It lets you can hit reconsider and start again. You can hit get hint, which is the yellow light bulb again, and it tells you what to do. Or you can just play it anyway. And sometimes what I would say in it is that when you play against XG and tutor mode, don't get discouraged, because very often tell you you're wrong again, oh my god, you're wrong again, and you can feel so stupid. I found myself sometimes telling it, stop being a dick and just let me kind of play my moves. It can get very frustrating, but you just have to stop and even just take 1 or 2 moves and just say, well, what is the correct move there? So as I said, you can ask for the right move. At the end of your game, this is a key feature that will come up. I resigned this game just going to produce an end product. It will tell you your PR. If you look at the second line from the bottom, that in the box in the middle there, it says PR 19.6 or 19.8. I can't quite see it on my screen. That PR stands for performance rating, and that's what, as you get better, you aim to improve all the time. So if God played backgammon, he or she would have a PR of 0. The more mistakes you make, the higher your PR is, like nearly a measure of your mistakes. Um, the top players in the world will play matches to a PR of maybe 1 or 2. The top players in Ireland are playing typically PR about 3 or 4. Um, Good league players might be playing, aiming to play in single figures. And when you start, you'll probably be playing to a PR of about, don't be surprised if it's a PR of 30 or 40. Don't be panicked by that because it will come down very quickly. But that's like the computer measuring your performance and telling you how well you played at the end, which is very helpful. And the reason the computer does this, it plays the games over and over in every position, over and over and over again, and then tells you, well, here's the best position to play. So it's really, really very helpful. The other thing that's helpful with XG is you can play a new, when you go into the mobile version, you can play a new match, or you can set up a position. So I was explaining in the club tonight that I was playing a match. I was playing a match first to 5 points. I was 4-3 up, and I'd played a 4-1 as is here, and my opponent had correctly doubled me because if I win the game, I've won the match. So it's first to 5 points, and I'm 4-3 up. The opponent has to double. The question is, do I take that double or I just drop it? And I passed, but I wasn't sure, so I put that into the computer and into XG and see what's the right move. Now, one thing I have to say to you, if you're playing a match and you use XG to help you during the match, you are cheating and you're learning nothing, and that's not the way to go. But if you're playing a match and you're not sure about a position, take a photograph, and later on you can see, well, did you make the right move? So I passed this, and then later on I put this in and I found, well, actually, it would have been a blunder in red. If you look at the 3 lines there, a blunder for my opponent not to double me, and my opponent did double me. The correct move, I should have taken the cube, but it was only a very small 0.002 is a very small mistake. It's not a blunder. It's not even an error. It's not quite the perfect move. I should have taken. I passed, and now I know if that happens again, I'll know. Well, look, that possibly I should have passed. Um, Third suggestion I have for you is just listen. If you're playing backgammon in Ireland, in fact, playing backgammon anywhere in the world, backgammon players are so helpful and so supportive, and they'll very often give you words of advice and take that in. And I found that I really only just started playing during COVID. The backgammon community were so good at making suggestions, giving advice, and do be ready to listen to people as they give you advice. The fourth point I say here is read. There are lots of books out there. In the Ashford Club, we have Backgammon to Win, Backgammon for Dummies, both by a really good English backgammon writer called Chris Bray. And then the Backgammon book was recommended to us by Cracker, and we got a number of copies of that. And it's a good. Those are 3 books, are good general starter books. You might move on then possibly to Bill Roberti books. The 501 Essential Backgammon Problems is great because it's 501 puzzles, if you like. But not only does it give you the answer, it gives you the why of the answer, which is really very helpful, and you might consider that. I liked, when I was first starting out, another Bill Roberti book, Backgammon for Serious Players. He goes through a number of actual matches and explains why the players played with improve your game. The Bible of Backgammon was by by a guy called Paul McGreal, and he came up with this book in the 1970s. Hard to get, very thorough analysis of the whole game, but you'll hear Paul McGreal referenced very often. Walter Trice wrote a book called Backgammon Boot Camp, which is very mathsy, probably not your first book, but very helpful. And a book I really liked that came out in the last couple of years is called Backgammon Match Class by Mochi and Mark Olson, and some really good ways of thinking of the game and some puzzles afterwards. Finally, the book that I think is just beautiful, there's a book called Conquering Backgammon. You can get it on Amazon, and it's a very good analysis of all aspects of the game, but it's also beautifully put together and really nice. It's just a lovely version of a book, and I really found it perfect. So there are a lot of the books that are out there, but there are 3 that I haven't mentioned that we really need to get into, and that's by a Japanese author, possibly the best backgammon writer that's out there, called Michi. And Michi has come up with 3 books, one called Opening Concepts, one called Back Checker Strategy, and one called Endgame Technique. And I propose that in the club, what we're going to do is, having done these lessons, we might move on, and I'm going to look at opening concepts. It's a great book. Top backgammon players all recommend it. We're all going to play openings in every single game, and it's a really good way of getting started. So I'm going to start doing a little study for my own benefit of opening concepts, and I'm happy to share this into lessons for the club if you like. Fifth thing then is take lessons, and it can help to get a lesson with someone who's going to teach you some of the tips of the game. There's no particular backgammon professional who gives lessons in Ireland. A lot of Irish players go to an English guy called Tim Cross, who's just lovely. He's so friendly and positive, and he's not currently keen to give more lessons. He might do in the new year, but if you want to go lessons, he's possibly the person we'd all recommend. You can pay hundreds and thousands. You can pay 500 quid for some lessons online are charging it 500 quid, but you don't need to. I do lessons every single week. I do about 6 to 7 lessons every single week, and the reason is there's there's hundreds of lessons on YouTube. Just go onto YouTube, search up backgammon lessons, and you'll get some great ones. You get people like Backgammon Galaxy, which is Mark Olsen again, and they do great quizzes and things. There's a great little series called Backgammon is Beautiful by an English guy called Dan Rivera. He's by his own admission, a terrible Brummie accent, but he's super little lessons, which is little tips that you can kind of take on, short 10-minute lessons that you can listen to in the car. I said I do about 6 to 7 lessons a week. I do because when I'm driving my kids somewhere and I have to drive back on my own, I just put on a lesson on YouTube and listen to it as I'm driving. I really like, there's a group called Sunny Florida Backgammon Club, who's led by Gary Koscielny. He takes the various backgammon books and goes through them in depth, and he's really as a basic guide, I think he's very helpful. There's another great series called Women of Backgammon, and I feel guilty sneaking onto it as I'm not a woman of backgammon, but I find their lessons really very helpful, and you get them on YouTube. There's lots of other famous backgammon panelists out there, and the other thing you can do on YouTube is they have matches recorded. So that was the World Cup final last year. They literally will video the matches from above. They'll have commentary and commentators explaining why the top players in the world are making their moves. And just as if you watch a rugby match, you kind of learn the tactics and tips about rugby, watch backgammon matches and you'll get a lot of these tips. Finally, I just want to recommend the Irish Backgammon Federation again. So well organised, super group, so positive and encouraging to new players, and have in my life been such great help. They will run events, and if you can subscribe to they have a Facebook page. Actually, they have emailing they do emails out. They'll tell you about events. There are events coming up, and the big thing coming up for us is the next season. The Irish Backgammon League is coming up, and you should consider playing in it because there's a whole heap of leagues. So you won't, I just took a table out there from Division 2 from a couple of years ago about the different players in it, but you probably play Division 9, sometimes the Division 10. Start up in the bottom division and work your way up. And you'll see there, the reason I put that in is if you look at the column for rating, the rating is those players' PRs, their performance ratings in their matches, which is what we're all trying to improve. But whether you play in the league or not, the other software you might get signed up for is Backgammon Studio Heroes, or just it's called Heroes. Heroes is a great product. You play it. There's hundreds of players on it at a time from all around the world playing. The Irish Championships are on it. The Irish League are on. You play on Backgammon Heroes, and you play your game. And at the end, it tells you how much luck you had, good or bad, and also how you the quality of your play. And you can analyze move by move. So the problem with Heroes is you can't just sign up for it. You need to be invited on by a registered player. We have several registered players in the club. So if you're interested in getting onto Heroes, just message me and we'll get you set up. And again, something you might do for the winter. Get yourself in Heroes, start playing games there, and you'll find this quality of your game will really, really improve. But that's it. It's not the end. There's loads more books out there, a lot more videos. You just keep learning and learning all the time. But the big thing is, if you keep going, the target, one day you'll be world champion. That's the target. So thank you. That's the end of the introductory course. As I said, I'm going to move on to maybe doing some lessons on Mitchie's opening concepts book. But for now, you're there. Good luck. Enjoy the game. Keep playing.